Yep.
The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Well, good afternoon, everybody, and thank you so much for giving up your time today to join AFTA CEO Darren Rudd and myself. And we do have Joe in the background on this very important webinar to discuss AFTA's pre-budget submission and our National Mobilisation Program. So on the agenda today, we will give you a quick overview of the submission and then really focus predominantly on the travel agent support package. Following that, I will run through AFTA's supplementary recommendations that were also contained in the submission, along with what's next, what you can do now to meet with your local MP to gain their support of the submission and maximise the impact of our ask to government. And lastly, we will have an opportunity to go through some Q&A with you. So to kick things off, Darren, I might invite you just to say a few words if you like before we get into the presentation.
Thanks, Courtney. Hello, everybody, and thanks for taking time today. Courtney's going to run through the actual submission that we spent a lot of time in Canberra preparing with various departments. But today, I've got a couple of announcements I want to make. One, I know there has been a lot of angst. I've had a lot of phone calls and a lot of emails about the Webjet decision. I need everyone respectfully to fill in the trenches, to stop the war, and we've got to declare peace on the Webjet issue. I need all of your experience, all of your skills, and all of your energy focused on getting us to the other side of this crisis. We are putting in this submission. We're also approaching the states and territories for funding as well, and that's proving to be successful. There'll be announcements on that next week. What we need from all of you is to declare an armistice on the Webjet, to contact your MPs, and we'll be going through that later. I will be announcing in the next week or so, once the board's given me approval, changes to the ATAS configuration. We have to, for scale and impact, now represent every travel agent, every wholesaler, and every tour operator. AFTA, as an umbrella, is going to broaden. We're going to let everybody inside the tent, so we represent the sector, and so we have a direct interface to government. This has been requested of us to enhance our likelihood of success in getting the submission. So the world as we know it will be put on hold until we get to the other side, and we want to bring everybody with us. So I'm going to hand over to Courtney now. There'll be time for Q&A later. My phone and my email remain open, and I need everybody to give us support, and let's start with attention on this today. Thanks, Courtney.
Thank you, Darren. So just a couple of key highlights for you before we get into the components of the package. AFTA did submit our 2020-21 pre-budget submission about a fortnight ago now into Treasury. We've really highlighted to government how COVID has impacted the travel industry. Within the submission, we've also recognised the support to date that we have received, and JobKeeper has been critical in keeping the doors open and staff employed. But it is now time for more targeted sector-specific support. We know that budget is due to be delivered on the 6th of October, which means the next 3 weeks are critical in ensuring that we receive support from every federal MP for the support package and the recommendations in the submission. And I do just want to reiterate that this forms just part of AFTA's ongoing campaign and lobbying efforts. So, as I mentioned earlier, it is time for targeted and specific support. We know that travel agents, they play an essential role in the tourism sector, as well as their local communities. And so AFTA's put forward to government the recommendation for an announcement of a travel agent support package of $125 million. Some key highlights on here for you that were contained within the submission to ensure that government knows the impact that our sector has. And we know there's currently approximately 40,000 people employed in the sector, and the industry contributes over $28 billion in taxes to the Australian economy. We've all said it a million times, but it is so important that the government understands that our sector was the first to be hit by COVID, and it will certainly be one of the last, if not the last, to recover. In the submission, we've really highlighted the amount of work that has been involved these last 6 months, and it's not work that can be easily absorbed by government. And unravelling each booking can take weeks, with refunds from providers often taking several months. It's complicated and lengthy work being performed, and right now for mostly zero income. It's a service to the Australian people that the government does not want to absorb. And I think it's imperative that government appreciates that the travel industry has always stood on its own 2 feet and has not gone out looking for handouts or government support before. The industry's weathered many crises in the past. I know a lot of you on here today would have experienced one or perhaps many, such as SARS, GFC. We had 9/11, ANZAC collapse. We've had Bali ash clouds. Nothing though compares to the magnitude of COVID-19. So how do we propose that the travel agent support package will work, and what is the design? Well, first off, we believe that it needs to be an industry-wide package assisting both AFTA and non-AFTA agents, and that is what government is looking for. And as Darren has said earlier, we need everyone in the tent. So the package comprises of 3 elements. First off, there is the financial assessment to determine financial viability. So details around this will need to be finalised, and whether that's administered by AFTA or a third party to seek expert arm's length advice regarding a business's ongoing viability. And essentially this will provide guidance on whether a business can continue to operate through a likely uncertain climate in 2021. So again, the relevant checks, the financial ratios, they will need to be determined. And it all will need to be nutted out to address the ongoing concern of the travel agency. And so once an entity does pass the test, our recommendation is that they would be eligible for both a grant or the option to take out a concessional loan of up to $100,000 per agency location to sustain their business. And this would be 100% backed by the Commonwealth Government, meaning you wouldn't have to provide security such as your house. We've used location or outlet for this, specifically because we know there are members out there who may operate perhaps 4 or up to 30 or 40 different locations, all under the one ABN. So this would allow them greater flexibility and lending options in obtaining a government-backed loan, if this was something that they wanted to follow through with. In terms of the proposed scale grants to all travel agencies, now this is based on a per ABN, and it would be based on the total transaction value in financial year 19, with funds to help assist the business to cover operational costs, and obviously continue the important work of returning refunds to customers, and provide assistance to travellers in 2021 and beyond. There is a 6-tier TTV scale, as you can see here on the slide. And I do just want to stress that if you are in a situation where you're running your business full-time, particularly those sole traders or home-based agents who are close to the million, or you perhaps were on track for a TTV over $1 million for financial year 20 before COVID hit, then this will all be factored in if we are in fact awarded the package. So those on less than $1 million TTV will certainly form part of the final negotiations for grant eligibility. And I can't stress this enough that it's a concept to government, and we really do want to make sure that every one of our ATAS agents is eligible to receive the grant. Darren, if you just want to jump in any time if you want, but I'll just keep going otherwise. So then in addition to the main ARP, which is the travel agent support package, we have also included some supplementary recommendations within the submission. So AFTA recommends for the reinstatement of previous loss carryback provisions to allow for current year losses to be carried back to financial year 19 and financial year 20. We believe if these were reinstated, it would provide some tax relief and an increase in cash flow for those small travel agencies that are corporate tax entities. We also recommend that the Australian government encourage the states and territories to extend the mandatory code of conduct for commercial tenancies to 31st of March 2021 in alignment with the duration of the JobKeeper extension and ongoing Australian government restrictions in relation to international travel. Obviously, any extension of the code and its operation is a matter for state governments. However, we do strongly urge that the Commonwealth Government encourage the states to continue rental support arrangements for small businesses. And in your meetings with your MP, I would certainly encourage you to reiterate this and gain their commitment to support this. And lastly, similar to the GFC in relation to citizen deposit guarantees, we recommend that the federal government provide a guarantee to the banks in relation to corporate debt covenants in the travel sector, and that's until 30 June 2021. Non-budget related, but still very critical, we have included a domestic and an international travel piece. So we've recommended that the government encourage Australians to book their domestic travel through their local travel agent, and also that the government look to the medically led lifting of international travel restrictions, where a balance between the health of people and the health of the economy can be achieved.
Courtney, I might just jump in there and just add something. In addition to the federal government funding that we're requesting on your behalf, we're also talking directly with premiers and indirectly and state territory leaders. I had a conversation last week with Premier Marshall, and there'll be announcements in the coming weeks where we'll be looking to announce funding at a state level for AFTA members, quite considerable funding per state, in addition to this 125 million. Thanks, Courtney.
Thank you. Okay, so that's essentially the package and the submission. And so following that is what steps that you can take to meet with your local MP and to maximise the impact of the industry's ask. Well, you may have seen this flowchart. It is up on the AFTA website, available for you now. What we've really done is just map out very easily the steps that you can take to meet with your MP to gain their support of the industry and the travel agent support package. I guess first off, if you haven't had a chance to read the submission yet, then I would encourage you to do so and to familiarise yourself with AFTA's recommendations. I would then ask for you to start reaching out to your fellow travel agents in your electorate and work together to coordinate a meeting with your local MP. So a great tool for this would be to visit atas.com.au, and you can search by area or location for your fellow agent details. I'd also think that it would mean perhaps delegating that task of reaching out to the MP to a particular person or a particular agency perhaps to manage. I think that would probably be the most efficient way. When you have secured a meeting, definitely take a copy of the submission with you. And there's some other great resources available on the website, including some leave behind documents. So ensure that you have these with you. And I will go through these in more detail in the next slide for you as well. While it's critical to highlight to your local MP just how much COVID has impacted the travel sector and how important it is that we do receive targeted support, I think it's just as important to really include your own personal story as well. Things like how long have you been in the industry or had your business? How many people do you employ in the area? Perhaps how your business has contributed to your local economy, local community. When you went above and beyond to help your client or perhaps a non-client. I know there's hundreds of stories out there from our members that have worked tirelessly the last 6 months. So include all of these and add a personal touch to your meeting. And then lastly, I'd encourage everyone to provide feedback to AFTA if you can. Send us an email and let us know how the meeting went and if you were successful in getting their commitment to support the submission. Look, and if you do come across some hurdles and you think that you do need some help from us, let us know. What can we do to make your meeting or possibly any follow-up requests from your meeting as impactful as possible?
Courtney, just to jump in there, I would encourage anyone, if they're having trouble meeting with their federal MP, and this is a federal MP, not a state MP or a territory MP, if they have any trouble, please let us know and we'll try and get rid of that roadblock. You may live in one electorate and work in another. We're happy for you to go to both federal MPs in that case. The board, my chairman and I stand ready to join any meeting in a virtual sense. So we could dial in, we could Zoom in, or we could use Microsoft Teams. I've had in the last 24 hours, 3 people approach me, already set up their meetings with their federal MP and asked me to join those, and I've agreed. So please reach out. We'd be happy to join you and the rest of your travel agent colleagues in the electorate where you either reside or where you work. Thanks, Courtney.
Thanks. So on the website there, as I mentioned earlier, there are a number of tools available for you to assist you with setting up a meeting and ensuring that you get the most out of it as well. We've got some points on how to actually go about setting up the meeting, how you can find out who your federal MP is and how to reach them. And as Darren said, if you are finding there are roadblocks, please reach out to us. We will do whatever we can to help you. We've included an agenda as well as our recommendations on the structure of the meeting and speaking points. So key points that you may wish to cover, such as the current problems that the industry is facing, key data, and what we actually need from the local, from your local federal MP. There are a couple of difficult questions there that you might get from your MP or an advisor in the meeting, and we've put them in with some answers. So, for example, why we need more than just JobKeeper. And lastly, there is a leave behind document. So something to leave with your MP along with the submission, which provides the facts on what the industry contributes to the economy, how COVID has impacted us, and again, some key data and statistics to really add weight. So all of these tools are available on the AFTA website for you to download and to save or to print. The link is there for you now, but I'd suggest from the AFTA homepage, just clicking the COVID-19 update tab. And from there, if you click the National Mobilisation Program, everything will be available for you. If you get stuck though, just give us a call and we can walk you through it.